Stop and ask yourself this. Why do our deepest fears, our greatest hopes, and even the characters in our private dreams feel like they've been pulled straight out of 5,000-year-old myths, legends, and religious texts? Since the dawn of humanity, we have been relentless in our search for God, soul, and meaning. But what if this quest isn't about finding a power outside of us? What if it's about digging into the deepest, darkest well of our own psyche? Today, we are diving into the mind of Carl Gustav Jung, the architect of modern depth psychology. He made a revolutionary claim that faith and religion are not a mass delusion, but an essential, non-negotiable requirement for psychological health. He argued that a church or a mosque isn't just a building, it's a massive, physical map of our unconscious mind. In this video, we will break down Jung's most groundbreaking concepts, from the collective unconscious, the universal library of the soul, to the archetypes that form the structural foundation of every major religion on Earth. We will uncover why the idea of God is, fundamentally, the most vital inner psychological truth for human well-being. This is more than just psychology. This is the intersection of consciousness and belief. Prepare to rediscover the true structure of your soul. Let's begin. To grasp Jung's radical view on faith, we must first understand the giant concept he called the collective unconscious. Freud saw the unconscious as a dumpster for our repressed personal desires. Jung said, no, it's far older, far deeper, and universally shared. According to Jung, beneath your personal memories and forgotten traumas lies a shared psychic inheritance. Just as all humans are born with 2 arms and 2 legs, we are all born with identical mental structures. This is the cumulative reservoir of universal human experience, passed down from our earliest ancestors. This explains the uncanny feeling. A myth from a remote African tribe, an ancient Greek tragedy, or a modern sci-fi movie often tells the exact same core story. This deepest layer is not formed by your life experience. It is innate and primordial. Jung called the contents of this collective unconscious archetypes. They are not specific images, but rather instinctive patterns or predispositions, the potential to have a certain kind of experience, much like a bird's instinct to build a nest. This is where religion originates. When this deep archetypal energy surfaces into our conscious mind, it expresses itself through symbols and narratives. The human need for a father figure or a supreme authority is the outward expression of the wise old man or father archetype. The embodiment of evil, the devil or Satan figure, is merely our shadow archetype projected onto a religious canvas. Religious rituals, sacraments and ceremonies are simply methods of channeling these archetypal forces and transforming them into meaningful, socially acceptable forms. Jung fiercely argued that religious symbols and rituals are far from superstitious nonsense. In fact, he claimed they serve a critical function for maintaining psychological stability and health. For Jung, a symbol is not just a sign that stands for something else. A religious symbol, like a cross, a star, or a sacred mountain, is a living expression of material that is not yet fully known or understood by the conscious mind. They act as a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious. The power of faith comes from its ability to offer meaning that cannot be fully explained by mere logic, but which resonates deeply within the soul. These symbols help the individual process unconscious material and integrate it into a cohesive personality, preventing the soul from being fragmented by unacknowledged energies. Why do people pray, fast, or undertake pilgrimages? Jung believed these rituals were not just social obligations. They are psychological practices that reenact and validate a fundamental archetypal order. Rituals give the individual a vital sense of belonging to a cosmic structure. They connect the individual's chaotic inner world to a universal meaning. Critically, these practices activate the self-archetype, Jung's concept for the drive toward wholeness and the psychic center. Rituals pull the person back toward their center, toward the imago Dei, the image of God within. We now arrive at perhaps the most pivotal and controversial part of Jung's work. Jung, as a man of science, never made a theological claim about the external existence of God. But when asked if he believed in God, his famous reply was, "I don't believe, I know." What did he mean by this defiant statement? Jung's "I know" did not come from a divine revelation. It came from clinical observation. He knew God existed, not as an external dogma, but as a psychological reality he witnessed daily in his patients, dreams, symbols, and neuroses. For Jung, the God image is the projection of the self-archetype, the deep, inherent human need for ultimate power, ultimate meaning, and absolute wholeness. It is the core psychic factor that drives our need for integration and meaning-making. Jung argued that most modern psychic problems stem from the loss of power in religious symbols, and the subsequent severing of the individual from this inner God image. When you reject a traditional God, the unconscious mind, according to Jung, simply creates another one, often in the form of secular idols like money, power, career success, or political ideology. The final goal of psychological development, which Jung called individuation, is essentially a spiritual journey. Individuation is the lifelong process of consciously integrating all parts of the personality, including the repressed shadow, the public persona, and the universal archetypes, to become a whole, complete individual. This process perfectly mirrors the hero's journey found in religious narratives, confronting chaos, struggling with the unknown, and emerging onto a new plane of consciousness. Jung explicitly stated that this journey towards self-wholeness is the psychological equivalent of a religious life. When a person finds their internal center and wholeness, the search for meaning finds its resolution. Jung's insights were not just philosophy. They radically shaped his clinical practice. He completely rejected the tendency in modern psychiatry to dismiss religious faith as mere delusion or wish fulfillment. While Freud saw religion as a collective neurosis, a childish need for a father figure, Jung saw true religious experience as an integrating force. Neurosis, conversely, is the result of unacknowledged, suppressed, unconscious material that fragments the individual. Jung's famous observation: "Among all my patients in the second half of life, there has not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life." For Jung, religiosity, the need to connect with the self-archetype, is an essential function of a healthy psyche. When this need is ignored, the soul compensates by producing neurotic symptoms. Therefore, Jungian analysis, analytical psychology, doesn't just aim to remove symptoms. Its true goal is to support the patient's quest for meaning and help them reconnect with their inner spiritual source, the self. Jung found that patients' dreams contained not just personal experiences, but also powerful, archetypal and religious imagery. The appearance of a redeemer figure in a dream, for example, signals the soul's movement toward a new stage of wholeness. The therapist acts as a guide for the soul, helping the patient place their personal suffering within the grand narrative of the collective human spirit, thereby transforming private pain into universal meaning. This is why Jungian psychology often feels like the spiritual discipline of the modern age. As Carl Jung has shown us, religion and spirituality are not merely external dogmas or relics of history. They are, at their core, the very structure of the human soul itself. He didn't just study the church or the temple, he mapped the spiritual architecture inside us all. Jung did not give us the final answer on whether God exists externally, but he gave us something far more crucial. He proved that the need for the God image exists within the psyche, and when we repress this need, our soul responds with neurosis, meaninglessness, and fragmentation. In the modern age, where science directs us toward outer space, Jung directs us toward inner space, the vast, uncharted territory of the unconscious. Our quest for individuation, the lifelong effort to become a complete, whole person, is, in Jung's framework, our deepest religious quest. So, the ultimate takeaway from this journey is this: your search for meaning is not a weakness, it is a psychological imperative. Pay attention to the symbols in your dreams, in your anxieties, and in your deepest desires, because they are the critical messages being sent to you by your own self. Jung's legacy extends an invitation. To the believer, it is an invitation to surgically examine the psychological truth behind your faith. And to the non-believer, it is an invitation to respect the structural necessity of the human spirit's deepest needs. What do you believe modern humans are using to fill the spiritual void Jung described? Share your deepest thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into psychology and philosophy. Until the next exploration, look after the universe inside you.